Hey, tervetuloa. Welcome to this episode of Startup at the Finish with me, Mark Wiltshire, where I speak with entrepreneurs in Finland to inspire entrepreneurs in Finland, hearing their stories, learning from their tips, avoiding their missteps and celebrating their progress. And in this episode, we're joined by Alan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Please take a minute or two to introduce yourself and your business a little bit more.
So my name's Alan Morris. My company is called Lakeuden Akvaariotarvike Oy, which is basically Aquarium Products Limited. And even though the name says aquariums, we are actually more than just aquariums. We are aquariums, reptile, rodent, and bird products. And our company is wholesale and retail. We have 2 online stores. We have 2 shops, one in Seinäjoki and one in Vaasa. And most of the products we sell, we also import or sell from foreign countries, distribute to other shops, and then we have them in our shops.
So it's retail, because you've got the shops, it's wholesale, and it's online.
Online, exactly.
And is that online, wholesale, and retail as well?
Yeah, but they're 2 different separated shops.
Sure.
Online stores.
Okay, let's go back a little way in time. Tell me a little bit about the story of how you, because you're from the UK like me, so how did you come to be living in Finland?
Well, my mum met a Finnish man.
Okay.
And this was way back in the 80s.
Okay.
Late 80s. And then we decided to move to Finland, and I was 10 when we moved to Finland.
Okay.
And then we lived in Jyväskylä. And after living in Jyväskylä for some while, I moved to Helsinki, worked in hotels, ended up hating it, people complaining, really needed to get out the industry. Then I met my partner when I was living in Helsinki. He's from here. And one day we were sitting in the car and he said, I'd like to start a small business selling things. And I said, that I remember, because I traveled to Barcelona on holiday many times, and I seen a really cool nano aquarium brand called Blau. And I said, I've always wanted to bring things to Finland of these products. And so we decided, okay, let's send them an email. And then they got back quite quick and they said, wonderful, we would love to sell our products to you. And we're also looking for a distributor in Finland. And these are your distributor discounts. So from just being a small retail shop, we then got the option of also being a distributor. So 2 in 1, also getting extra discounts on the product. So if we sell ourselves as retail, we get a bigger profit.
That's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that they. Did you have your business up and running already, or did you approach them first? At that
point, we didn't.
Right,
they said, we'll need a VAT number,
yes.
a running company. And at that point, my partner already had a different business that's no longer running. So we gave that number.
Okay.
So they've got a business to start an account for us. And probably a couple of months after that, we ordered 5 pallets of aquariums, which is about 80 of them, loads of LED lights, filters and all that. And then when we started to sell online, they were going extremely well because at that time on the market, no online stores were selling really cool, smaller nano aquariums with super slim LED lights and bended glass corners. And we were selling loads until people caught on. This is a great business. Then they started doing it themselves.
Right, okay.
Yeah. First they would buy from us, but then they import themselves. So we slowly started to get more brands and so on.
So you basically created the market and then others jumped in and so I guess expanded the market overall, but also took some of your business away from you as well.
Exactly, and now what's the word? There's too many on the market, so the sales now was kind of slowed down, and people are buying used ones because we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of them being sold.
Okay, we'll come back to the business. There's one thing that you've said there already that I think is going to be useful for other people listening, and we'll open it up a little bit. You moved here really young compared to most people that I meet.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that experience for you coming here?
It was difficult. It was difficult because as a kid, I was always a low learner. I learned reading extremely late. I haven't been diagnosed with any kind of, what's the word?
Dyslexia.
Yeah, I haven't been diagnosed, but I know I have it because reading a book to me is agony.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm really creative.
Yeah.
And I'm able to have a very imaginative imagination and images in my head and get things done.
It's really interesting. I think nowadays people are so much more aware. It's not even about acceptance, just aware that some people think in words and some people think in pictures and some in numbers, and all of those are just as valid as each other.
Yeah.
So
it was difficult coming over.
How does this young guy young boy really with undiagnosed dyslexia learn Finnish? There's a challenge. There's something that people listening could learn something.
The thing is, we moved to Jyväskylä, and it was an international school.
Okay.
And probably at that time they had money because they gave me loads of extra hours in a week.
Yeah.
Seriously, probably 3-4 hours each week extra, single one-on-one. So that was the massive help.
And just working on the language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And also mathematics, English even, because when we were learning in class, it was all in Finnish, and I didn't understand a thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's very different. You know, people moving when they're adults, they get the integration support with the language, and maybe some basic benefits, but it's very different coming as a kid and then trying to make friends. How do you make friends with Finnish kids at that age?
Easily.
Without the language?
Yeah, because, kids pick up words quick and kids are not so judgmental towards each other. So we lived in an apartment building and all the kids, me and them, were great together.
Okay.
And that's probably how I learned also the language more quick, being with friends and speaking Finnish, listening to the Finnish pop songs in the dark bedroom and so on.
How you learned all the bad words as well, playing out in the streets. You told a little bit your story of how you became an entrepreneur. You said that your partner had a company and had an idea for another company. But is he working with you full time in your business now?
Basically part-time.
Yeah.
He works loads because he's a mental nurse in the hospital. He used to have a...
He's a mental nurse? Or he's a nurse in the...
He's a nurse in the... He's probably mental being with me since I'm mad. I'm a lot to take. So he works with the people with...
psychiatric hospital, yeah.
And before that, he had a company removing tattoos.
Oh, removing tattoos?
Removing tattoos.
Okay, now I can see the demand for that in Finland because there's a lot of places putting tattoos on in the first place.
Because of the officials, it's very difficult to make a profit.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they closed that down. Yeah. But we were supposed to start a small business from the kitchen, sell them from a nice little shelf and as a little hobby. But the first brand we had, it was... You can be the distributor. Yeah. And from then on, we just continuously started getting brands and brands and brands, going to the fairs, meeting new people. And some of the fairs, or some of the stands we went to, they asked, where are you from? And when we said Finland, they're like almost grabbing you, pulling you to the table, bringing the sales manager. They're from Finland. Because loads of brands are not in Finland and they're looking to get here, but they just need the... distributors to do it.
And they probably see it as a kind of quite wealthy market where there's money and that can handle the prices of the products that they're trying to sell as well.
But the problem, what they don't understand, the Finnish market is smaller.
Yes,
because then they expect they're going to make like Spain, they're going to make like Poland. And I always have to tell them when we have the first meeting, don't expect anything like that. The Finnish market is smaller.
It's 5 million
We're not going to be bringing... trucks loads, we're going to be bringing pallets. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, who are your customers? The private customers, if you like, are people who have fish or reptiles or whatever at home. What about your wholesale customers, your B2B customers? What sort of people are you selling to?
Pet shops all over Finland, from Helsinki to Rovaniemi.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the competition like for that?
Competition is really big.
Okay.
But our competition is not just the shops in Finland, it's the German web shops, because they sell some of their products cheaper than the wholesale prices.
Because they're buying
in bulk.
such volume. Yeah. So how do you compete? How do you differentiate?
We make sure the brand is not saturated on the market. We make sure the product has a good profit for us and also the retailer, and also that it's a quality product that doesn't get loads of returns and so on.
So when you say the brand isn't saturated, you're selective with who you sell?
Correct.
Have you had a situation where a brand has spread itself too thinly and you've stopped working with them?
We were offered one brand and they've already got a distributor in Finland.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not interested. I just want to be the only one.
Yeah.
I'm not putting the effort in the marketing when the other distributor can take the sales for it.
Yeah, I think keeping in mind your customers and their profit margin, and maybe negotiating with the suppliers and saying, hey, this is our supply chain. As the distributor, I need X, and my retailer needs XX.
Yeah, but usually they always tell you what it is.
The brands do.
Yeah, and there's no negotiation on it.
Right, okay.
They've counted them really. If it's a Spanish-Italian company, you're expecting to have also decent. If it comes from Poland, usually not.
A bit tighter margin.
Usually, if anything comes from Poland, no thanks.
Okay, no, but that's how you then build a range that works for you and hopefully works for the market, but both markets as well. What I think maybe from what we've talked about, it's quite obvious, but you're a Osakeyhtiö, Oy. Why did you choose that form of business in the beginning?
Because there's two owners, and if you want to go in with your partner, you can't just be toiminimi.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I thought, and that's why I said it was an obvious question.
Yeah.
So when you started, what was your strategy for the company?
We didn't have one.
Right, you're the second person in succession that said they didn't have a strategy. That's it, and that's really important for people listening to hear that and think, oh, I've got an idea, but how do I make a strategy? Well,
we didn't have any. We had no plans, no marketing plans, nothing, and everything's just kind of getting bigger, and then we've noticed going forward is that what we want and what we don't want. Some brands we've started to cut back on the orders, slowly fade them out, take a more higher quality. Profit isn't always the most important thing if you've got a product that is not perfect. Because you don't want to have negative comments on the products. You want to have consistency with high quality products.
Yeah, and if you're getting returns, then you've also got the hassle of returning them to the manufacturer.
Yeah, well, many times they don't want them, but they want photos of them and so on. Yeah,
but it's the reputation. They're supplying. The products they supply are not very good quality, and that's something that you need to avoid. And it's interesting to hear, hey, we had an idea and we started doing it, and then as we went along, then the strategy kind of came into.
And you learn along the way. You go in thinking things that you've made up in your head, and you think it's like this, but it's not. But you learn as you go. And I'd say with starting up a business, don't think too much. Go with the flow, learn, and grow with it.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
Because our plans have changed a lot. Because we used to be just aquarium. Then I found a really, really good reptile brand. We started importing that. That's become one of our best sellers.
And these are tanks as well?
Terrariums,
yeah.
UVB lights, fake plants. Just today I took a car full of products to Oulu. I drove there in the morning came back, went to the shop on the computer for an hour, and then came here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a car full of delivering a car full is a
Well,
good
this
order.
is only a car, but the boot and the back seat was full on it. But it was just loads of small products, and it was still €3,000.
Yeah.
So it was worth it.
It's worthwhile.
Yeah.
We believe that many people have skills in their everyday life that they can transfer across to running their business. In your case, is this something where you brought skills or your interests or whatever across from your everyday life?
Hobby and interests. Yeah.
In what way?
Aquariums. Have you heard of aquascaping?
No.
Aquascaping is basically making an aquarium look like a scene. So you'd be looking at a scene of mountains and with a perfect grass and the mountains and so on. It's called aquascaping.
Okay.
And when we started that, we were probably the first in Finland to be on the market with that kind of stuff.
Selling the equipment.
Stuff, the equipment, the LED lights, the special soils for it. But the market wasn't there for it in Finland. We had loads of nice glass products for aquariums to put inside, but they weren't selling. So we needed to realize, okay, these products are not making us money. The aquariums are, the LED lights, the filters, but all these are small accessories. They're too fancy for the Finnish market and the common aquarist. We need to go simple fish foods that look super on the front with great stickers and so on for the common person. So we kind of had to change our strategy.
Do you still do the aquascaping products?
It's gone down.
Right, even so, yeah.
A little bit, but not. We had to follow where the money is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And now we sell skulls and all these colourful boats and so on. And back when I started, I would have said never.
Yeah.
But they make the money.
Yeah, but that's quite sort of traditional, isn't it? And maybe people want something fun in their tank. And this was your passion. Having an aquarium at home was your passion. So you then built on that, the knowledge that you had and the enthusiasm.
And I've grew up in pet shops. Since when I lived in England, my aunt and uncle had 2 shops.
Okay.
And my big brother had his own pet shop.
Really?
So from a small kid, I remember going to the wholesalers, putting my hand in with the fish and so on. Yeah.
So you've taken the same idea, but just narrowed it down to a specific part of the sector.
Yeah, but now we're expanding it because we're looking where the money is. We want to make it. If you're just going to stick to aquarium and terrarium, you've limited how much money you can make. If you add rodents, bird products, you widen it. You've got more customers. If you add cats and dogs, which is the biggest, you can make bigger money. So you've got to kind of, it depends how much you want to put effort in and how much money you want.
I guess, I mean, all of those things seem kind of connected to fish, fish tanks, terrariums, I guess tanks for rats.
Oh, yeah.
Snakes.
And do you know what the surprising thing is? What shops make the best sales?
Right.
They're not the fancy ones. They're the ones that have a mess, old shells, nothing like an experience, but these are the ones that make the money.
That's interesting, isn't it?
If you go to a nice fancy one with all new shelves and everything in line, nothing's happening there.
Any idea why?
I think people like the feeling of an old-fashioned pet shop.
Yeah, maybe.
And then they have the reputation.
And and possibly the history and heritage as well.
And the staff that know things. Because when people tell me, our customers, that don't try to sell me stuff again. Because if a customer comes to buy something, you can tell them about similar products and what they can use around it to prevent it, to help it, and so on. They can leave with a bag full. So when you have your knowledge on the products, you can make so much more sales.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I think for me, the most important thing is I'm extremely proud of the products we sell because they're over Europe, they are high quality and known brands. So I know they work and I'm proud to sell it forward.
You said before you didn't have any strategy, no kind of business plan as such.
Yeah.
How did you know there was going to be enough customers? Do you have any idea about the potential for the market?
We had some idea. We just learned how we went, and we took one brand at a time.
Yeah, okay.
And we noticed, okay, we need now a fish medication because fish are always going to be sick and there's no competition. So let's try and look for a high quality medication that's not on the market yet here. So then you contact them, you ask, are you going to be at the fair? And they're like, yes, we're going to be at the fair in Germany. Would you like a meeting? Yes, please, let's have a meeting. And then you go and talk and they ask you loads of questions about yourself.
Well, that became your strategy then, didn't it, really?
Yeah.
As you went along, it was like, okay, one brand at a time, slowly growing, noticing what's the next thing coming along in associated markets and expanding the range there. When you started the company, what kind of practical issues did you have with regards to starting the business? Or what were the most challenging things to understand?
Paying tax in time.
Yeah, I feel you.
Spending the money you're supposed to go on tax before, just spending too much money and not keeping enough eye on the tax and then getting behind.
Yeah.
Get a good accountant, a good one that is active.
Yeah.
That's really important.
I had a similar challenge, and it's more to do with like cash flow as well. Like you've done enough work, the money's coming, but then it doesn't come quite in time, and then then your incomings and outgoings start to get out of sync, and then it's a real challenge.
And we're living that time now because our quiet time of the year is May and June.
Right, okay.
And we can have amazing sales March, April, and then it comes to pay the tax when it hits on the quiet months.
Yes.
So we should save for the tax that's going to come.
I do it. I've been doing it now for about 4 years. I just have a separate account, and whenever an invoice gets paid, I take the VAT and I put it in that other account, and I don't touch it. And then generally by the end of the year, at the level of my Pitovoimaa business, there's a couple of €100 left over, and that's mine. But it gives me peace of mind as well. It really, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, now it's there. Yeah. And when my accountant says you got a VAT bill, okay, good. Whereas in the past it was like, oh no, that money's gone. I feel it.
And another thing we've done is we've just the start of every week on a Monday, just transfer a couple of €1,000 into your VAT account. So it's there already kind of like deducted off it. Yeah.
No, it's just, nowadays I think it would be called a hack, but I think it's just a good idea to keep that money separate.
Tax is probably everyone's hard point, difficult part.
Yeah. And you've got to pay your taxes, especially in Finland. You've mentioned earlier about being a wholesaler and a distributor.
Yeah.
Can you just tell a little bit more? Because I know that we've got people listening who will be having this idea about importing, and it will be a different type of importing. Some will want to import products from their home country, but others might be looking to import from within the EU.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about the benefits of being a distributor and how that's been useful for you.
In our case, we are a distributor and retailer. So, of course, when we retail, we get a better profit on it. And when the retail side is slow, we always have our distributor customers.
Yes.
So I'd say if you can have more than one income route, try and have it. Just don't focus on one way of getting the money. Try and spread it. Have different ways. Have a shop, have a web shop, and have a distribution company if you can get the distribution rights to a brand. Yeah,
so you're buying at distribution prices, and some of those products you sell at retail,
Yeah.
and you get all the margin, and some of
Correct.
it you sell at wholesale, and you get your distributor margin. And what about what do you see the challenges being of importing from outside the EU?
We've imported products from Sri Lanka, and I found it to be a pain going through what's tulli
Customs. Yeah.
Sometimes they've wanted on paperwork it's been enough. Then you need to know your article numbers, what they are, and the list is so long and they have no interest in helping you.
These are like the tariff codes, the import
codes,
and
and you've got to find them by yourself.
Yeah.
They're not interested to help you. Then if it's not on paper, then they want it done on computer. They don't want to help. And then you can be stuck at the airport customs for hours until you get it done. You're sitting in the car trying to get it all done.
In the last year, in my day job, working at Minorito, we're manufacturing and selling food supplements and vitamins, and I've had more work to do exporting products. So I'm getting a bit more familiar with Tulli's website.
But once you've done it and you have the article numbers inside,
Yes.
you can just kind of like redo it.
Yes,
you just
you
like
can.
click
Yeah.
onto it. So then once you've got past the difficult one time and you bring the same products, you can just click on the same things.
It should be like copy or duplicate this import declaration or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We bring products, vitamins from the UK, and it's so much more simpler for us now than the first time.
Has obviously Brexit has made everyone's life more complicated, but have you had any major problems in that way?
When Brexit happened, we stopped importing one brand.
Right, okay.
Then the second brand is vitamins, and some of the food they have consists of insects.
Yes.
And insects is animal-based meal. Basically, so if a brand has 10 products, the vet document is about £150, and you'd have to pay for each one for them to test them. So it's impossible to make a profit unless you were bringing a pallet per assortment.
But as of May 2025, when we're recording this, the UK government is negotiating with the EU again, so hopefully some of these things will start to become
I really hope that nothing goes easy for the UK. After Brexit, I want them to suffer for it and keep it.
And stay separate.
Absolutely. I'm bitter.
You are very bitter. For somebody who's lived here since they were 10, you're very...
Well, they've ruined a great brand for us, so...
Well,
and if they voted for it, stick with it.
I was reading the other day that a large number of people who voted for Brexit have now passed away because they were very old.
It was the older people. Yeah, that's true.
When you started your company, did you receive any support, whether it's like financial support or advice or something else that helped you?
None of them.
Why not?
Probably because my business partner, he already had a business, so he knew how to start a limited company and so on, and we knew importing from the EU, we don't need any kind of document or so on.
Yeah.
And starting a web page is so easy. These days you can just buy the layout ready, and you can basically build it in an hour and have it live. It's so easy.
For people listening, your web shop, what program do you use to build your web shop?
My cash flow.
Right, okay.
And extremely important if you've never had a web shop before, take a company that has great customer service because you're going to need it. And when you have someone there who can just go and fix it for you and get it working, then...
So my cash
flow. I recommend it for everyone.
And an equivalent of that might be something like Shopify. Is that the same sort of service? That
similar, but it's not finished, so I don't think you get customer service with it.
With My Cash Flow?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
No, My Cash Flow has customer service.
Yes, okay.
And I think it's 24/7 also.
Right.
But Shopify, did you say?
Yes.
Yeah. Shopify, I think it's American, so you're probably not going to get customer service.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like Facebook, massive.
Yeah, I've the website that we have for Wise, we built it on WordPress because I'm familiar with WordPress, and we have 2 products on there. They're just 2 memberships, so it's not a major commercial thing, and that works okay with various plugins. But yeah,
if someone's starting and they're not good at computer, I would tell them not to use that one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. This is a core part of your business.
This is experience because our first 2 shops was the one you said. What was it called?
WordPress.
WordPress. Yeah. And one of them kind of like disappeared.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we had to quickly go onto a new platform and build it quickly.
But my cash flow. That's interesting.
And they have loads of different layouts. You can just make it as personal looking as you want and pay some extra and they'll do things for you.
Yeah, and with that kind of website, I suppose you can have 1 or 2 static pages, and then you have your shop page where you're uploading information about the products and processing
the good thing with that one is, I think it costs about $150 a month, including tax.
Yeah.
But you can basically have many web shops from it. You just build like on top of it.
Yes.
So it's like what's the word? There's like tags where you can press what base is it. So you can have loads of different web shops. You just put what this product is for that shop and so on.
Yeah, okay.
And you're using the same pay trail payment methods. So you're not paying any kind of extra payments.
So you said before you have a consumer web shop and a trade web shop, and that's how you've done it. You just say, okay, here's the products. This is the price for the trade shop. This is the price for the consumer shop.
But we have them on 2 separate shops.
Okay.
For the reason on our retail, there's so many customers that registered, we don't want to lose them.
Yes, okay.
Because they'd have to then all start again if we had one. So
yeah, okay.
We'd rather just pay the extra page for it. Yeah.
Understood. When you started, how did you finance it? Did you have money yourself to buy the products, or did you need to take some kind of financing? Did you make... I think I know the answer to this, but did you make calculations on a spreadsheet of how you were going to get things started?
No. I think we took a loan of maybe 8,000, 10,000.
Okay.
And I used it all on one brand.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I took about 80 aquariums, probably about 150 lead lights, probably 100 filters, but we sold loads of them.
Yeah.
Every half a year we were taking another 5 pallets of aquariums and we were just selling until the others caught on. And that's when it kind of like...
But you said you were doing that from like your kitchen table at that time. You started like that.
We were going to. Then we realised when we ordered 80 aquariums, these are not going to fit in the apartment.
Where do we put 5 pallets?
We were lucky that our bank manager was my friend.
Okay.
And I asked him, do you have any empty spaces that I could rent from you? And he said, yeah, I've got one.
Is that where you are now, in Seinäjoki? Or?
No, it was a small hobbit room, about 15 square metres.
Okay.
And then we were there for half a year. And we didn't really want to rent, so we thought that let's buy like one of these storage units that has proper heating underneath heating and so on. So we bought a 64 square meter unit and we rented it to our business.
Yes.
And then our business grew. And then I noticed the other side, there's a bigger unit for sale that has a front on the road where we can put a big sign and said, let's try and get that and we'll sell this. So we went to the bank and we asked, can we buy it? And they said, sure.
So then there was some financing there, like the bank helped you with financing to buy the premises.
There are private premises, but we rent them.
Yes, okay.
And then we got a new brand. We realised, okay, this is not going to all fit into our new storage shop unit. Then we asked the bank, can we keep the first one? And they were like, yeah, keep it. So now we've got 2 business spaces. One's a big, it's full of products, and then the other one is our shop. Yeah.
Are there 2 slightly different locations?
It's on the same ground. It's just on the back and then the front.
So where I came to visit you, you mean the shop at the front and then the
it's like a big
wholesale place at the back. Yeah. Where people can drive up the back and load their cars or vans.
But this is the surprising thing is we never planned anything of buying these. But then everything kind of went so well. And I say to my partner now, we don't need to stress about anything that how are we going to do this in 2 years, because things happen by themselves and these just become possible. Don't look ahead. Don't look too far ahead. You've always got a plan, but don't stress about the future, because when things work out and go forward, it just happens by itself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you find your customers? Is it all with online marketing and online presence, or are you attending domestic fairs to show the products you've got to Finnish B2B
We
partners?
don't go to Finnish fairs because they're extremely expensive.
Right.
And there is a pet fair in Finland, but it's more for the consumers.
Okay. Yeah.
And we don't see the benefit in it. And for our wholesale customers, we'll write them emails.
Yeah.
We'll give them a call. And many times they've heard about us and they'll contact us.
Okay.
Because we've got some very good brands. And we always make sure that we don't overprice our products, because I'm lucky because I get to compare.
Yeah.
To go on their pages. And I make sure that we never overprice our products.
Yes.
I want to be compatible.
Yeah. And you're again, I said it before, you're taking into consideration your customers, their business, and if they grow, then you'll grow.
Exactly. Even though we retail, I'd rather have my wholesaler seller, because for me, my importance for the future is to have a bigger wholesale company, and that's why we always price our retail products slightly higher than our customers, because we want them to know that we're not trying to compete with you.
Yes.
We want to give you the possibility to sell.
And through wholesale, you get the volume sales as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned before that it's quite competitive in Finland. Is it a community that is only competitive, or is it quite supportive in growing the industry?
It's competitive. There's lots of shops. There's loads of brands. So when you choose your brands, you need to kind of look, is there any difference in this product? For example, we have one fish food that is made from insect meal.
Yeah.
Larvae and so on. So this is kind of unique. So it's different from others.
And those other businesses that you're competing with, are they?
But they're not supportive.
It's not like a kind of.
There's some shops that are very supportive.
Yeah.
And these have become our wholesale customers. But there's also others that do not want to answer your phone call, do not want to answer your email, don't come near me, do what you're doing. I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. And also you're working on a Finland-wide basis. So it's not like there's a local network all in the same industry and you're kind of creating the industry together. I
think there's lots of jealousy.
Right, okay.
Some don't like to see you succeed. Some don't like to see your sales growing and so on. And I think it's down to that.
But if the whole industry grows, then everybody benefits.
Yeah, but they think it's away from them.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's fair. So there's another question about plans. I think this is going to... And
we have plans.
Yeah, you've sort of touched on it, but what are your plans to grow Lakeuden Akvaariotarvike?
We need to go into more of the products that sell to a wider audience. And the last week I've been in negotiation with a company from Belgium selling bird food and rodent food. And because it's a big company, it's multi-million, they're very strict on who they sell products to and who distributes their products. So they want to know 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
And I'm open. I don't lie about anything. Never lie. Always give the truth. Tell them about your market and so on, and what your realistic ideas of what kind of sales you can have.
So your plans are to expand into rodents and birds, and then maybe one day cats and dogs.
Yeah, because this is where the money is.
You're definitely going to need a bigger warehouse.
If this is the market, that's fish, reptile, rodent, cats and dogs.
Yeah. Hence why there's lots of large chains full of all these different brands of, of cats and dogs equipment. Yeah, I get it. So that's the plans for the next couple of years, maybe.
Yeah.
What's your future plan or dream for where would you like this? If everything goes well, where do you dream of being?
Well, for example, next year we're hoping of opening a third shop.
Okay.
In Jyväskylä.
Okay. Back to your roots.
Yeah, we are now rebranding our shops. So our shop in Vaasa is called Mascotte.
Okay.
And the one in Seinäjoki, we didn't have a physical store open 6 days a week before. So we had 2 online stores, fishtank.fi, terrario.fi. It's not working anymore because these people do not understand who come to our shop that we have 2 web shops.
Right, okay.
And they don't understand that we're the same shop. So they're closing down.
Okay.
We are then going to have mascottekauppa.fi.
Okay.
And we're going to be 1 online store, 2 shops, and possibly next year a third shop.
And that's your consumer-facing side. Yeah. Do you have aquatics.fi as well? Is that?
It's our wholesale.
Oh, that's the wholesale side.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fine, and that will stay.
That's just the online for the orders.
Yes. Okay.
So it's just separated, but otherwise it's the same company.
So more shops, a rebrand.
Yeah.
Mascotti. What? I mean, I know the word, but what does it
It's
mean?
mascot.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about you, but I've had dreams about my pets that they're talking to me.
Okay.
Yeah, my tortoise.
Okay.
And I think everybody's pets, their dog, their cat, that's the mascot of your life, of your family.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like becomes the symbol of you as a family.
And
that's
everyone's
true, yeah.
cat and dog is kind of like the centre of the family that everybody loves, and it's our mascot of our family. Yeah,
I like that. That's nice. And if you have an animal that you walk, then they walk ahead of you like a mascot of a team or a family might do.
Yeah.
Unless it's my dog who drags behind because he wants to keep stopping and checking out all the messages around town.
And it was important. We wanted, when we were starting to think about names, and I thought, I don't want a long name like Pet Supplies something.
Yeah.
Or Central Seinäjoki Shopping Pets. I wanted it to be one word.
Yeah.
Like Faunatar that went bankrupt.
Yes.
Faunatar, just easy, one word, and everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
With all of that. I think that's kind of it for this episode. So
I want to give some advice to somebody who wants to be a distributor.
Oh, go on, do that.
Go to fairs, spend the money on expensive hotels because you're not going to get them cheap when you go to a city where there's a fair. Tell them you're a distributor. See what they have to offer you. Can they offer you good discounts?
Yeah.
And if you want to sell something, just don't try and sell to the end customer. Try and sell to shops. Have different ways of sales. Just don't focus on one. Because at one point, your sales on the retail, it's going to go really slow. And at that point, you will need the sales from a different route.
That's like the perfect summary of the last half an hour or so, what we've been saying. Thanks, Alan. That's definitely it for this episode. So thanks again to Alan Morris from Lakeuden Akvaariotarvike Oy. How's my pronunciation?
That's good. Almost.
Oh, okay, good enough.
They can probably understand it.
Startup at the Finish was presented by me, Mark Wiltshire, and was produced by Suomen Yrittäjäopisto with support from the European Union Maaseuturahasto. Thank you for listening or watching, and goodbye. Kiitos, hei.